Hello, everybody. I'm here with my frequent co-host and good friend Serp, and we're going to talk about Evangelion today. We're both big fans. It's kind of been one of the defining, I guess, kind of pieces of media in both of our lives. It's been a very I guess just it's been very meaningful. We've related to a lot of it, etc. And I thought this would be a good time to talk about it, just because the Netflix adaptation is out. I did that big video complaining about 3.0 plus 1.0. So I just figured we
4.44. I don't fucking know. Does it matter?
no, it doesn't really matter. So, do you want to? So, where did you first come across Ava?
My lord. So a lot of my political views and a lot of my influences come from Ryan Falk's early videos when he had New Europe, A&P, and when he had was it Confederal Socialist. I started seeing these like when I was 19, 18, when I was leaving high school. I was like, what? Race and IQ is real. And at the time, I don't know. He's such a bipolar guy, and I'm still a fan of him, and I know those videos and everything. Yeah, and his original avatar was Asuka, and I was like, what is this? I didn't see anime until like the very last year of high school. I mean, I saw when I was a little kid. I saw Yu-Gi-Oh! And I saw Pokemon and stuff like that. You know, every once in a while when I do a sleepover in like fourth grade or something, I'd watch One Piece in the morning or something like that. But I wasn't a weeaboo. And then I saw Asuka, and I was like, oh. And then he'd show like the parts of Asuka in End of Evangelion when she's screaming in agony and all these things, and I was like, oh, that looks cool. I've always been into horror films. When I was in high school, I was getting more and more deeper into the horror genre, and Evangelion is a psychological and experimental type of medium or story. There are very deep psychological and existential horror elements to that story. So as I slowly got into anime, I started out, the first thing I really saw was the film Akira, and then which is another one of my favorites, and then the film Ghost in the Shell, and I just went looking from there to see the biggest movies. And eventually I stumbled into the Evangelion series. I was like, oh, this is where Asuka comes from. That's where that guy that used to make all those race realist videos. And I wasn't, I just realized Race and IQ at that point. And I was still like a Titoist, but I believed in Race and IQ.
So you were basically where you were now.
Yeah, I kind of flipped around. So like 19, I was like a Titoist that believed in Race and IQ. And yeah, but anyway,
sorry, just a shout out. Sorry.
Yeah,
thank you, Irish Cream, for that donation. Good afternoon, my friends. Let's talk Ava. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, he's a pretty big. I like that guy a lot. So so after getting into anime, I started out with a lot of like 80s and 90s OVAs and movies like Vampire Hunter D, Ghost in the Shell. I liked the style of stuff that came from the 80s and 90s much more. After 2000 and is going on, would you agree with me that a lot of the masculine and violent elements that define anime before have kind of declined in the medium?
I'm not really, because I had a different experience growing up, because I grew up, I don't know if you guys don't get YTV in the States, do you?
No. When I grew up, it was like Toonami, and then sometimes I'd watch like, when I was really little, I'd watch like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. And
so the schedule, for instance, Friday night was Gundam Wing, Inuyasha, and then they normally had another one like Witch Hunter Robin or something. So I kind of grew up watching more series. Like, I haven't seen very many anime movies. And then like
I should say this.
Yep.
My mother is deeply racist towards Asian people, and that when I was growing up, it was like a bad thing or a deviant thing to be interested in anything that was East Asian or anime in particular. So if I tried to watch Dragon Ball Z, I remember being explicitly shamed to not watch it. So I know it took until I was like 17, 18 to even like look into it. And then when I was in middle school, I saw a bunch of like Naruto fags, and like all the dorky girls would get into Naruto, and I was like, holy shit, this is gross.
I remember, and I feel like such an old guy now. I remember when the first episode of Naruto came out in North America. I still am kind of a fan of Naruto. It's kind of complicated because I just found the show was too long and the manga was too long. But I like read what happened. But yeah,
So-
I remember when I was around.
good.
I remember I watched like the first season of Pokemon and like the first season of Digimon and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I kind of realized that Akira, I was like, this isn't Naruto. This is like cyberpunk, because I really like the cyberpunk genre.
I do too.
Philip K. Dick and the Blade Runner movies and stuff like that. I'm a huge fan of cyberpunk, so I kind of got in to
Did
the
you
genre
like the new
through
Blade Runner
cyberpunk.
movie?
I would say it's one of my favorite films ever made.
The new one?
Yeah, I think it is. Maybe we won't get that far in terms of technology, but that's how I view what the future is going to look like. I don't know. I haven't talked about this that much, but I've kind of swallowed the collapse and the peak resource fuel and the limits to growth pill and all that. Yeah,
I just bring that up because on the video where I was complaining about the rebuild, I had said that I'm not against like rebuilds or reboots or reimaginings because and I gave that as an example of it done properly.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people were saying it was too dissimilar tonally from the original.
Did they read the book?
No, they said it was too clean and it wasn't pretty.
Have you ever read the book?
No, I haven't read Do Robots Dream of Electric Sheep.
So the entire so the sequel is more thematically similar to the book. So in the book, I guess we'll just go off on tangents and just nerd out, and I'll finish it. I'll finish that question later.
Okay.
So in the book, basically all species of life are extinct, and people keep pets. So the guy keeps people keep sheep, say, or they keep ostriches and baby them. And the highest status of wealth is to have a real animal and not an artificial animal, because almost all animals are extinct. So people keep pet ostriches or they keep pet sheep. So that's where the title comes from, because some people have synthetic ones to mimic, to keep up with the Joneses of the very, very rich that have natural animals that are still alive. Because the earth is the entire environment is absolutely destroyed. And then another aspect of it is that maybe the first one did this better, is that the androids are very, very predatory, that they're incapable of compassion, of which humans are, and that they prey off humans, and that humans are natural herbivores, but the androids are natural carnivores, and that they're incapable of sympathy. And then another aspect is the religion of Mercerism, which is a analog, because he was a Gnostic Christian or an extreme Neoplatonist Christian. And Mercerism is a fake religion where you, through virtual reality, you relive the sufferings of this Mercer character, this Mercer, who goes up a hill and is tortured and has a very difficult time, as an analog to the crucifixion of Christ. And all the artificial stuff is kind of better in the sequel, especially with the love between that beautiful woman that's the love interest in it.
Yeah,
and
she's
how
a real QT.
Yeah, and how she's a real QT, but she's also artificial. And in the book, the true religion never actually occurred. Mercer is just an actor in an old silent film that people are reliving over and over again. But the reality, the emotional reality, is what matters. So just like with Mercerism, with the girl, kind of relived with the girl, the importance of the relationship and the emotions that matter means more than she's an actual person or she's a 3D object.
Right.
So I found, at least thematically, it was a lot closer to the themes of Philip K. Dick. Philip K. Dick is one of my main other influences. But to get back to your question, so I'm a big horror fan, and I'm a big cyberpunk fan, and I was getting into this stuff, and I was like, Evangelion.
I also just let that go just because that kind of applies to Ray, which we'll get into later. But
yeah. Anyway, so Evangelion. So this is this existential horror anime. I've always been a Godzilla fan too. Existential horror anime with giant monsters. This is gonna be awesome. So I watched it, and I was into existentialism. I was into Kierkegaard. Kierkegaard is one of the greatest Christian theologians and philosophers to ever live.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And it was just outstanding. It was just an outstanding show. And the show delivers on multiple angles. This is one of the reasons why it sustains. As a mech show, it's outstanding. As a dystopian show, it's outstanding. It has cyberpunk elements. It has existential horror, it has psychological horror. And it's just nostalgic 90s anime. It's great. It's great on so many levels. And when was the show made? 96, 95?
It still looks pretty good.
It still looks good, but what I'm saying is it was actually on a budget, and they hit that budget pretty well, except for, the infamous last 2 episodes, last 3-ish.
Did they actually run out of money, or was that just a troll?
They actually ran out of money.
Okay, so that...
yeah. But I still like the final 2 episodes.
I don't like 25.
You don't like 25?
Yeah,
I like the final 2 episodes. So when I watched through the show, I watched End of Evangelion, then I watched the original ending.
So do you think they happen at the same time, or do you think they're alternate endings?
They're alternate endings.
Oh, you don't think they're...
In some ways, it's better if End of Evangelion doesn't exist, because then it's way more abstract. But it actually kind of fits with the show more. Because End of Evangelion is this trumped up massive climax. And I'm not saying I love the End of Evangelion with all my heart. They're 2 different things, and you have to appreciate them in their own right. As far as personally, I see End of Evangelion is the ultimate way to end a series. If I ever want to write or create for myself as an author an apocalyptic event, End of Evangelion is how you end something. It's so masterfully apocalyptic.
I think the original ending thematically fit better. I thought it was a better conclusion of Shinji's character arc than End of Evangelion was.
The congratulations.
Yeah, I cried when that scene happened. I know it's cheesy, but I guess just as someone with really low self-esteem, the whole thing about like a lot of this is just a delusion that people hate you, and all that kind of thing. I kind of liked it as just kind of a conclusion to Shinji's character arc.
See, you're diagnosed with a very severe mental illness, right? Bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
So for you, there's actually kind of a spiritual connection to the characters of the show. Is that too far to stretch?
No, that's very true. Like Asuka is very similar to how it feels to be manic.
Mm-hmm.
Or just the emotional instability that's kind of inherent in bipolar. So
so in your interpretation, is Asuka the true love interest, and does Shinji have a deep lust and attraction to Asuka?
Yes. It's
okay,
funny.
That's my view.
Because the first time I watched it, I was, keep in mind, I was 11, I think, when I watched it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get...
I was like 18, 19 or something like that.
I didn't get that Asuka was in love, had feelings for Shinji at all.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's like a very... When you look, like when I rewatched it, it's very obvious that she's completely infatuated with him.
Mm-hmm.
But I hadn't realized that as a kid.
See, I don't understand where the race stuff comes from. Maybe because I'm not Japanese and I like outgoing women or something. maybe it's just a Japanese thing that they like Rei. I never understood Rei as being sexually interesting whatsoever. I always thought she was this horrific character.
I never really saw any evidence that beyond maybe just the basic teenage hormones, Shinji was really attracted to her in that.
I thought
romantic way.
Shinji was disgusted, or like Shinji. I mean, she's a clone of Shinji's own mother, so he's a natural repulsion to her. Or is this just my headcanon?
Well, I maybe in that he does have, I think, a certain like sympathy.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, like sexually, he's not.
Yeah, aside from, like I said, maybe a very basic teenage hormone thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see anything else to it. As I said, I think one of my favorite elements of it is it's interesting because it is one of the most, I guess you could say, like tightly timed series. Like they have like one or two kind of filler episodes, but they really like.
Is that I think the only filler episode I can really think of is when the giant robot one where they fight the giant robot.
I actually kind of like
Moscato. I'm not saying I dislike the episode, but that's the only one I can really think of that I would say is filler.
In the clip show.
Well, oh yeah, well of course the clip show.
Okay, what do you think? We'll start getting into theories. What do you think of the whole Shinji's the ego and Rei is the super ego and Asuka's the id?
I'm unfamiliar.
Oh, okay, because that's like one
theory. I thought there was a massive Oedipus complex in the sense that he's inside of his own mother's soul. Like so I mean the thing that makes this show so good is the ambiguity. One of the main reasons is the ambiguity in how everybody creates their own headcanon to the show. So my own headcanon is that for an Ava, what creates the soul, or the AT field is a soul, right? Yes. In my headcanon. So the AT field is a soul. In order for the Avas to be working weapons, they need to have a soul trapped inside of them. So somebody has to commit suicide or die. Shinji's mother is Unit 1. Asuka's mother is her Ava. And then Unit 0 is it's Riko's mom, isn't it?
It's debated whether it's that or if it's part of it's Rei 1.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it just has no soul.
I thought it was
that I think.
How do you say her name? I haven't seen it. Yeah, I always thought it was her mother.
I think they retconned that, or that was like. I don't think it was retcon. I think
I never read the manga. I only watched the original show.
I don't know. I think it was a fan theory. I like the idea that it's Rei 1, and so it has part of Rei's soul in it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot of ambiguity and head canon in it, which I liked. And maybe just as we're kind of getting into it, so you and I were talking beforehand. So an issue, particularly among, and I get a lot of Ava fans are really obnoxious, but all fan bases have obnoxious people. But a lot of like people who want to counter signal against it will say, oh, all the like existentialist or the Christian or the philosophical elements were just skin deep and just put in there to like troll the audience.
I'm deeply skeptical of that because of even knowing the names of Jewish angels before the era of just random Wikipedia searches means,
and like things like the Chamber of Goth, like where souls are before the videos.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, not the videos, souls before the universe existed, and just like all these other random like esoteric references.
I think that he trolls people by saying that he just made it up. It's very, very clearly, and you can say author, def, and everything to me. It's very, very clearly intentional. What is his own? Is he non-religious? Is he?
I think Ano's an atheist.
He's an atheist, okay.
Or an agnostic.
Okay. Or is he just irreligious Japanese?
I actually have no idea. I think he said Irreligious. I'll just look it up while we're talking.
Yeah, so I mean, he looks up like Kierkegaard. He has like things named after.
He says he's an agnostic who believes in Shinto.
Okay, so he's just Japanese.
He's just Japanese, yeah.
Okay, well, that doesn't surprise me.
Oh, okay. As someone in the chat says, not just Jewish angels, but specifically the Watchers.
Mm-hmm. There's no way that he could do that research and not have it be symbolic, and it makes sense symbolically. Can I do my own shtick on the end of it?
Sure, go ahead.
So, if Unit 1 contains the soul of his mother, then Shinji is crucified as Jesus Christ within the Ark of the Covenant of Mary. So his mother, so Unit 1 is Mary, the Ark of the Covenant within Catholic theology. And at the end, he's crucified and rises again. I don't see how you can deny that subtext there.
Well, I mean, as I've said, Shinji literally takes all of the sins and hatred of humanity into himself, and ultimately decides that besides that, humanity deserves salvation.
Mm-hmm.
Which is exactly what happened with Jesus.
Yes.
And I think it's just too I don't know, like it's people can say, oh, it's just like a coincidence. I don't know. I just think it's too like explicit. And it's too kind of profound. Like it's not just that's not like End of Evangelion isn't just like a skin deep, we're gonna use Christian symbolism. Like the whole thing is kind of very much kind of like a Christ redemption story.
Yes.
Also, you're saying how the episode titles were Kierkegaard quotes or something?
They have, so if we could look up one of them is, I think,
Sickness Unto Death.
Sickness Unto Death, which is Kierkegaard's most famous work.
Let me look up the names.
See, if you look through the names, a lot of them are like that.
Instrumentality is a reference to like a random like series of books. I forget his name wrote. Some guy wrote. Let's see. Angels Attack. I wonder if Unfamiliar Ceiling is a reference to anything.
Oh, I guess it's just that one.
The works A Human Creation. I'm not sure if that's a reference. You know what? I'll look up episode titles while you're.
No, I was just scrolling down. It's just that one that's a Kierkegaard reference.
I could see like The Beast That Shut an Eye at the Heart of the World is a reference to something. I think At Least Be Human or Don't Be is. Actually, Sickness Unto Death is one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
But
how many times have you watched through the series?
I think like 3 or 4.
Okay, I watched through it twice. How many times have you seen End of Evangelion?
Like 24 times.
Okay. I've seen it maybe like 7. I don't know. I
was really fucked up as a kid, so I would just watch it. Yeah, like another one is let's see here though. Let's see. Also just like random like Kabbalah and shit. Like it's the issue is it's used correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of the references, like it's not just there, it's like used in reference. Like in Gendo's office, there's the Tree of Life on the floor and he's sitting at Keter.
Mm-hmm.
At like the crown.
Do you want to talk about the rebuilds and just let it all out?
Okay, sure. Didn't you kind of like them?
The rebuilds?
Yeah.
So you don't like 2. You don't like 2.22 or whatever.
I when I first watched it, I thought it was like the greatest thing ever because I watched.
I think it's like it's Evangelion as a series at its best.
Really?
Yes.
I don't like the
I've seen
Shinji
it
Ray in
2
it,
or
is
3
my issue.
times. The what?
How it's canon Shinji Ray, I guess, is kind of my complaint.
Oh, well, that doesn't matter. Well, it's its own thing, right? It's not the original
Right.
series.
That's true.
Can we talk about the rebuild in terms of, do you think it's a remake or do you think it's a sequel?
I think that was a troll.
You think it's a troll? You think it's just a remake?
I think it's a troll. Was it ever referenced again?
What the fuck are you? I don't understand what you're saying. So
No,
that's like a legitimate question. Do you think it's a sequel because of the way it starts out with the gay last angel and the world is like, and it references the line from End of Evangelion, and the world is the
I think that was a troll. I can't tell if it was a troll or if it was or not. Like I'm not sure.
Here's the thing. I think for him to have reason to make it himself, it has to be a sequel in some sense.
Right.
I mean, we made like the live action Cutie Honey and shit. I don't. He hasn't. Yeah, and I mean, but for serious, like, what has he really done after? I guess he made Shin Gojira, but I feel bad for him as an artist because it's like he peaked there and he never did anything that's monumental after that. I mean, Gunbuster is great, and Nadia Secret of the Blue Water, I haven't seen it yet, but
that was before though.
Yeah, it was before, but
he made Kirakano 1 year after.
What's that?
So it's a romantic anime. I really like it. It's if Gendo did it's Otto doing a high school romance anime, so it's like super existentialist.
Oh, what do you think of Shin Gojira?
It felt like an Evangelion episode.
So I think it's one of the least best Godzilla movies because I only saw it. Maybe if I see it, it will be better. So it was just like basically there's no characters. It's just go Japan, fuck America, get rid of Article 9 because we can't protect ourselves from Godzilla as long as we have Article 9. That's literally the message of the movie to me. Like, it's like the most anti-Article 9 propaganda piece. I'm not saying I disagree with it. It's just like that doesn't appeal to me as an American.
It's really funny. Like I call it the ode to Otto. Like in everything, there's always the random cuts to the street lights and the random cuts to the train and like the drop of water. I think they had all that in Shin Godzilla. I think
they did. And they had actual Evangelion music.
They did?
You didn't remember that? They had a bunch of music from the series.
No, I like how it was like an Ava episode. Like they used the N2 to stop Godzilla, and then they had to like come out with the like 4D chess Andromeda Strain plan.
I'm gonna say all the action in it was really good, but it was just this very like the whole point of the movie is just like Article 9 is fucking terrible. Fuck America. And it's just like I'm not disagreeing with that sentiment, but I'm sure like Frost Nixon isn't very interesting to the Japanese, or like House of Cards isn't very interesting to the Japanese, right?
Right.
It's just something that will only be interesting to your own culture. And I don't really like it. Just doesn't interest me that much. Maybe if I see it a second time, it'll be a lot better.
Are they gonna let him do it? How did it do? Like, did people like it? It made a lot of money.
It depends. I think the Godzilla community was kind of divided over it.
Okay, it was the highest grossing Japanese made Godzilla film.
I don't think so. I think the 90s Godzilla versus Mothra is the highest grossing by far.
It says Japanese produced.
Okay.
I don't have to look.
But yeah, anyway, It was. I haven't even seen the fucking Netflix Godzilla yet, so it was.
There's a Netflix Godzilla?
Yeah, there's a Netflix anime Godzilla, which is like horribly received by the fan base, and I haven't even seen it yet. And we both have a mutual friend that's a massive Godzilla fan, and he doesn't like it at all.
Yeah. He didn't like the new Godzilla movie, I remember.
Yeah, I tend to it's kind of weird because people have this interpretation of me that I don't like very much media, and that's not true because whenever I see anything, it seems like I have a much more positive opinion than anyone else does.
Right.
And it's always weirded me out that I get this interpretation of I'm this negative Nelly that doesn't like anything when it
people think that about me.
Yeah. To me it seems like everybody else thinks it seems like I have a much higher opinion of most films that I see than most other people.
I think what it is I like about a third of what I watch. I hate about a third of what I watch, and I think about a third of what I watch is okay.
I think the other thing is I just only watch what I want to watch now.
Yeah.
It's just Hollywood it's just so much garbage now. There's no point in seeing new stuff for me at this point.
I don't know. I like the Marvel movies are quality.
No, they're such high quality. I mean,
I can't even. You know what? I can't
even. It's so symbolic of a civilization in its highest level of prosperity, cultural competence. That what it does is it makes 20 odd superhero movies where they're all exactly the same, and it's marketed to foreign countries. And this diversity is our strength, and corny dad jokes. That is the peak of Western civilization right there.
Can't we get like some Dude Where's My Car or like some Zoolander shit, like some like lame 90s comedies back? Like that stuff was way better than the kind of shit.
Yeah, but that is male camaraderie.
That's true. That's the problem.
That's kind of like evil. You can't have that.
Yeah, it's like about guys trying to get laid, and it's too heterosexual. Let's see here. Boogie says Netflix Godzilla isn't the worst thing. It just feels like a waste of time.
I mean, how long has it been since the first one came out, and I haven't seen it yet?
I didn't even know they. Well, I'm not a Godzilla fan, but I didn't even know they existed.
Anyway, is there any other questions we should talk about with Evangelion?
Let me think. Do you remember the Vaporware live action movie that kept claiming was being made?
Oh, that was before my time.
Yeah, that was like a thing for years. The fans were so like, it's gonna get made, guys.
Do you remember when they kept saying they were going to make a Halo live action movie? That Vaporware shit?
I don't get why they didn't. I don't really see any reason why a Halo live action movie wouldn't be good. Unless I'm missing something.
I don't know. Because it would probably be better as an R-rated movie. I guess it could be okay as PG-13.
Yeah, but I mean, that seems
what the fuck is Charlemagne doing in the chat? No, there's no such thing as a live-action Halo. It's Vaporware.
Oh, Charlemagne's a friend of mine.
No, I was like, what's he? He is a weeboo? I was like,
yeah.
That Neba's a weeboo?
Yeah. I don't know. I think Halo would be a logical thing to make into a movie. Like, I think they could make...
I think that they should make it like RoboCop. Like, that kind of effects.
Yeah.
Like, that would be a great Halo movie.
So let me think here. Yeah, so I guess I think Ava really more than just about anything else. I think it does kind of portray what it's like to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the angst of being a teenager.
Yeah, I kind of get sad because I feel like it's not that attractive anymore, and I'm going to like it less and less because it's just like listening to Marilyn Manson when you're like 40, or like Korn when you're 40.
Yes. I don't know. A lot of the times it's good to just kind of look back on things and kind of remember about it. But I don't. Okay, so there's another thing I want to bring up. I get tired of people attacking Shinji. That's kind of one of my
I gotta
big.
go. I'll be back. I have
Oh,
to
okay.
check something out. I'll be back in like 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Charlemagne corrects and said he was uh semi weeb. Let's see here. It was awful. I didn't see Ava until it was an adult. Still appreciated it, but it's limited. Yeah, so maybe I'll just talk about it. So for me, I watched it when I was 11 years old. That was back when Kazaa was first out. So I downloaded it at like 1 kilobyte a second, and it took me like weeks. And then I had to watch it, and the bit rate didn't work on like my old real player, so it was watching it at like 1.6 times the speed. So yeah, that was difficult. That was an interesting experience, but I really got into it really quick. That was actually the first fanfic I ever read was Life After Ava, and that's kind of where I got into fan fiction from actually. Because I hadn't even really been aware that it existed, and I just kind of stumbled across it one day, and I started kind of reading it, and I've I don't know, I haven't really ever done much on fan fiction just because I don't really know what I'd say about it other than just saying ones I like or something like that. But yeah, it was just keep in mind at that time in my life I was an unmedicated childhood bipolar. So I was just like crazy a lot of the time, and that just really kind of reflected where I was. Also, I'm someone who has a lot of like severe social anxiety and like all that kind of stuff. So Shinji's always really been someone I've been able to directly relate to. Um, and I think one of the major reasons that people give like the Shinji crap is, as I've said many, many times in the past. Let's see here. Dumping on Shinji is the defensiveness of a story with a personality besides hot-blooded hero, which annoyed them. Yeah, I think it's uncomfortable because I think there's a lot of him in everybody who's watching it, and it kind of just hits a bit close to home. Like that's kind of how I felt when I watched Welcome to the NHK, which is actually pretty similar. Actually, Welcome to the NHK is like it's kind of like Ava, I guess you could say, without robots in it. But it just kind of hit too close to home to really be. It just kind of bothered me. I liked it. It was very good, but it for whatever reason watching Welcome to the NHK kind of disturbed me very deeply. Once again, I know that's kind of a strange thing to say. Um, it's probably something I shouldn't have been watching when I was like 11 years old. I forget how old when I was when I watched End to Ava, but it's just kind of been something I've always come back to. Like I remember when I was young, um, when I was young, that was really what got me into kind of religious stuff, to be honest. Like reading about all the Kabbalah stuff and the esoteric stuff, and that really got me into like a lot of like spiritual stuff and mythology and that kind of thing. Um, so yeah, I got into a lot of stuff. I actually got a lot more interested in Christianity as a result of watching it. Just because it made it look a lot cooler, I guess you could say. I mean, there's something to be said that stuff like Castlevania is really more of a tribute to Christianity than like just about anything made in the Western world, because it makes it look really cool. I love Castlevania. I'm playing. Sorry to do a side thing, but I'm playing Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and I'm really enjoying it. They literally like it's just a Castlevania game without the name Castlevania on it. I hope it sells really well and they make more of those because the way they destroyed the old series I should do a review of what's it called again? I just finished Disgaea, and I actually kind of have a fair amount to say, so I might actually do a review about that. So, did you play Curse of the Moon? No, I played Circle of the Moon. I don't. Is Curse of the Moon something? Anyways, so I think that's probably pretty good. If nobody else has any questions, I might just end it here. So I have a bit of a cold, so I'm a little sleepy. So I won't drag this out with like some other random stuff. So I will talk to everybody later. This is Argent. We must descend.